From prisoners to protesters, the handler who trained the horse that suffered that fatal fall during the Grand National has blamed ignorant activists for the death. The Aintree race was delayed by almost 15 minutes when animal rights demonstrators tried to storm the track and glue themselves to railings. Hill 16 fell at the first fence and was put down after suffering a broken neck. Now, Sandy Thomson believes his horse was hyped up by the frenetic start.
Everybody got very uptight about the situation. We were late off. We were taking saddles off. We were putting them back on. We had no idea what was going to happen because these people who claim to be animal lovers, you know, and putting up all these signs, and in actual fact, they have not a clue about horses, animal welfare. You know, some of them were trying to break into the stables. You know, now how is that animal welfare?
Now, Animal Rising, which spearheaded that protest, claims its actions aim to prevent deaths occurring. This is a really difficult... I mean, I watch the Grand National every year, go and put a little flutter on. We had friends over, we sort of nearly always do, to watch it. And increasingly, every year, I watch it from behind the sofa with a cushion over my head because I get really upset and I see the screens coming up and I can't bear it and I know what's happening. And I think I do have sympathy with the protesters who say the horses are being sacrificed at you know, the altar of betting and making money. On the other hand, nobody buys a horse race to make money. They lose money by buying horse races. The betting companies, the racetracks, they do make a lot of money. And I see it's tradition and I see it's the biggest race in the world. You know, sometimes it gets as many as 600 million people watching the Grand National. A lot of people love it.
Over the past 20 years, something like 60 horses have died at the Grand National. This year, 2 died in the actual Grand National race, Hill 60 being one of them, and another horse died at another event at Aintree. The Horse Racing Authority, I believe that's what it's called, the following day on Sunday, yesterday, announced that it was analysing the race forensically to try to work out why 2 horses died. I'll tell you why those horses died, because the fences are too high and there are too many horses in that race. The selling point of the Grand National was always it's the toughest, most dangerous jump race in all of horse racing.
The most lethal.
That's the selling point. And frankly, I don't want to spoil people's enjoyment. I don't approve of the demonstration. But do I sympathise with people who don't want to see magnificent creatures die on the altar of human entertainment? Yes, I do. I think we've got to look at the Grand National.
But I think the activists caused this, actually. I'll throw it
out.
Let me just explain.
That's rubbish.
Let me just explain. So Daisy's point is right. When you own a racehorse, you spend a lot of money on those racehorses. These horses are in the peak of their condition. Now, by chaining themselves to those fences, they delayed that race by 15 minutes. When you race a racehorse, timing is everything.
OK, explain the other days.
So those horses are... Hang on, those horses are ready. So that 15-minute delay meant many of those horses actually had to be desaddled, hosed down, they overheated. So by the time they got back, they were unprepared for that race. There was not a pre-parade, which is normally when you calm those horses down. So that race should never have been run.
David's point that one horse might have had something to do with the demo, but 4 horses in last year's Grand National. 3 days.
So what I was going to say, they have lowered those fences, haven't they? Beecher's Brook, for example.
And they paint a big white thing there, but it's clearly not working.
Exactly. But also, you're right. I agree. I mean, I just think that actually the activists have blood on their hands.
No, they don't. The whole point of them being there was to prevent the deaths happening, to raise awareness, so that we're having discussions about it.
I hope they're
promise
happy.
you. Yeah, but a delay of 15 minutes to the start of a race doesn't break a horse's neck, David.
No, you didn't hear what I said.
No,
so
I did hear what you said.
So finely tuned.
No, I know, but that didn't... But they may very well be finely tuned, but nothing about what happened. Yeah, it might have dazzled them. It might have meant that they did a poor race and didn't win it, but it didn't break their necks.
Yeah, and also let's remember, as I just said, 60 horses over 20 years have died at the Grand National.
But just coming back,
there were no demonstrations
there were plenty of experts that said those horses came, you know, started the race far too excited, far too fast, and he did fall at the first, which could well have been explained because he was overexcited.
He'd never fallen before.
Yeah, but none of the horses...
whose side are you on, the protesters or the
For me personally, I eat animals.
Fraternity?
I eat animals. I love eating meat. So I feel it'd be hypocritical for me to say stop the Grand National.
But nobody's eating
but the
these
meat
horses.
is for your it's for your sustenance, right? There's a use for it rather than, you know, watching a horse jump over a fence.
We need to reform it, I think. We need to have a
Yeah.
look at this race. The fences are too high and there were way too many horses in that race. So don't cancel the
I
Grand
think
National, but
JJ's
let's have
sitting
a
on
look
a
at
very
it.
I'm
On a
sitting on a
fence.
fence.
Very tall fence.